So I would love to have more intimacy with my wife. I would love to be able to lead. I'm reading in books, articles, and seeing on YouTube videos that I should be leading. But my wife doesn't want me to do that. Either right now she wants nothing to do with me, or she's telling me to wait so that she can lead. She wants to lead into sex, into the bedroom. She wants to feel more safe, I guess, but I'm not really sure what's going on here. I don't know if I should just be waiting. Men ask this question all the time. So, welcome to the C Note Show with myself, Jeff Allen, and Miss Cynthia Cruz. Cynthia and I teach about long term intimate relationship between a man and a woman because she wants you to know how to love and lead her with mojo like a king. She wants to feel safe and inspired and feel your sexual leadership. So, she never initiates sex. So, should I just wait for her to come to me? Well, what might be the reasons that a woman would want for a man to sort of wait or be passive about sexuality, where she's saying, I want to come to him? What are some positive reasons, or maybe not so positive reasons that she might want that?
A woman can get very overwhelmed by her emotions because she can feel so many different emotions all at once. Kind of what we were chuckling about in the beginning of this. Like, are women kind of nuts? They can feel nuts to the even to themselves because they can feel many different things at once. So if her partner's coming to her with sex and she feels that as a pressure on things that she's feeling pain about or anger about, an expectation that she doesn't even know how to want to respond to in the moment. And it just feels like that invitation to have sex is just adds to the storm system where it's just too much. She has to feel the storm all at once. It might be a relief, at least to her shoulders, to know some of this tension that I've been feeling can be let out of the balloon because I know I'm going to be allowed to go through the different layers of this and express myself in different ways and not have to fit in this certain box. So I say that as a positive thing because that allows her to kind of relax a little. And I know how tense women can get, but there's also a negative part of that because then she can feel like that's the only way to interact with sex is just complete avoidance. And that doesn't help her emotional well-being overall deeply. And deeply, I want for her to have a desirous, relaxed, enjoyable life with you. And she can't have that if she's always having sex off in the this is too overwhelming box.
That certainly makes sense. It relieves pressure in the storm, absolutely. But then what? It distances her from what? What do you feel it distances her from so she can't experience that calm, relaxed connection?
Yeah, when I imagine that tension and that storm, I almost I can visualize it right here in her periphery. And beneath that, like into her chest, into her stomach, into her pelvis is something that's much more to who she is, her truest desires and wants. However, most women, a lot of women get stuck that the storm is their reality, live their entire lives that way and never get to really touch into something sweeter and deeper and more sultry and more passionate in themselves. And the end result is her feeling empty, exhausted, drained, and not even knowing who she is anymore.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for getting us started. I want to start this off, the next step here. And speaking with a man that asked a question a few days ago around this, his wife wants to be in the relationship, and why this question that she's now leading sex because she's doing some of her own work, but it seems as though that he's supposed to just be passive and wait for us. The idea is that he's been doing his own work. She's finding him more attractive at this point, and now she's wanting to do some of her own work to work out what is the storm within her around sexuality. Why is she not interested any longer? Come in and tell us the story, please.
Okay, thanks. So basically, when I found like you guys and that, I started working on myself and following what to do to get myself in a better position. My wife saw the improvements that I was making, and then she joined a course that helped her and helped both of us really see why it is that we feel or everybody feels the way they do about sex and stuff like that. They put it all down to culture and like the media sex formula and things like that. And then the course sort of breaks it down and you go through different paths. There's like a men's and a women's section, and the women go through the different paths. And you eventually get to a point where you have like scheduled intimacy sort of times. They've got a different name for it, but like scheduled once a week, you have like intimate times. But the idea is that the woman in the relationship, she gets to lead because it's all about her feeling safe, her safety, and not feeling any pressure. And what I've found is that we've got to that point. We've only recently come out of the program about 3 weeks ago. Um, we've got to that point, and it seems like that day, that scheduled time is going okay. It's going good. It's good fun. We both enjoy it and all that. But then there's like nothing in between, and it just seems like there's tension and arguing, and I'm not allowed to initiate anything. And for example, we have a kiss goodbye as I go to work or whatever, but it's like the quickest, fastest peck you could possibly get, and that's it. And then if I try and hang on there, then it causes problems because that's me wanting more than she's offering and things like that. Then last night it all sort of came to a head. She asked me to give her a kiss on the head while we were sat on the sofa. So I gave her a real quick kiss on the head. And she's like, no, you're just making fun at me because you think that I do it too quick and you want me to say, no, give me a longer kiss than that. And I'm not going to do it. And it's just, there's like a crossover of how we're thinking about things. It's like she expects me to know what to do when she thinks it, but I'm not allowed to do anything that I think because she doesn't necessarily want it. And if I do anything too much, just say, for example, I try and give her a longer kiss than she wants, then that feels like pressure to her and she feels unsafe. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So this is very important. Appreciate this. Many guys think I just would love for my wife to join a program that's focused around, sexuality and positivity. And often those have these kind of constraints. Same with going to therapy. I hear this every single day from men all around the world. She may go to therapy, and in therapy, they're talking about all these pains from the past, and the therapist suggests that take sex off the table and tell the man that he has to wait for her to initiate sex, and it's just this downward spiral or kind of a catch 22 for a man. It feels as
Yeah.
so. You tell me, how does it feel for you to be in the position that you're in?
At the time when a time is happening, it's great. It's really nice because she's feeling safe. She's doing what she wants to do 100% and she's enjoying it. If she doesn't enjoy whatever it is that she's doing, if she doesn't get pleasure from it, then she changes it and does something else. So I know that she's getting nothing but pleasure from whatever we're doing. But in between, it feels like I'm just waiting, not just waiting, because it's a difficult one. There's just no intimacy, no connection, no flirting, no fun, nothing like that at all in between.
Right. Yeah. And I would imagine you feel, I would guess, fearful of trying to be fun and flirty in between
Yep.
because what? She'll
Yep.
punish you for it, or you're being bad or crossing a boundary in some way.
Yeah. So I mean, I used to be, I try to be quite a fun person. I sort of lost my mojo as I found in the last 6 months or something. I found that, and whenever I try and make a joke or have a bit of a laugh or make fun of something or try and make light of a situation, it just comes across as me having a go, me starting an argument, which I'm not at all, and she knows that. But she's like, don't start at me, don't be horrible to me. It's I'm not being horrible, I'm just having fun, making fun of myself or making fun of her or making fun of the situation. It's just the way I've always been forever.
Yeah. So right there, do you feel that your wife has felt judged in the past? Why do you feel she's so quick to feel like you're judging her or poking fun at her?
I don't know, maybe
Hmm.
by me, do you mean, or by?
By you. So if because initiating sex and being playful around sex, and she's expecting that you're trying to lead towards sex, is
Yeah.
different than joking and being a joyous man and her feeling like you're poking fun at her or judging her. Those may be related, but they feel different. So what do you think about that piece?
Yeah. I don't think so. I think it's more recent years she's just become a lot more uptight about things like that. And maybe where she's felt pressured over the years without knowing it, it's caused her to retract and lose her mojo, you know?
Yeah, good. Well, thank you. We're gonna unfold this. So what are your initial impressions?
Sorry,
Yeah.
can I just add something, one thing real quick? Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, so like we had a conversation the other day and she said that she can't ever imagine going back to spontaneity, no spontaneous sex or anything like that. And it's only, as far as she can tell at the moment, it's only ever going to be on the booked in time slots, like once a week, which is fine, but then there's no other stuff around it to build it up, and it hurt a lot, to hear that. I mean, it's great that she wants to do stuff, but the fact that you're saying no, just have a quickie or whatever, it hurt a lot. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like it kind of neuters you and the sexuality in your relationship. Like
Yeah,
she has judge, jury, and executioner for your sex life. That's what it sounds like. So yeah, what are your
yeah,
initial
yep,
impressions? And we'll go
100%.
from there, please. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I just, as you were talking about how much this hurts, I could just feel the heaviness in my own chest because it must almost feel like an impossible situation with her. Something that really kind of hit me as you were talking, especially with the joking, is let's say women are an ever evolving energy system. And what she's worked through with you in this current program has actually done a really wonderful thing as it's opened up a deeper level of maybe her vulnerability. And I'm talking about kind of that feminine vulnerability where she may not be able to be in a more masculine jovial place because she's opened this a little bit more of this door to you, and it almost seems like she's kind of like a different, there's a little bit of different caliber of her energy now to get to know like what is this new landscape. And right now she's keeping that new vulnerability safe by, I've built walls around our sensual energy. But what I do hear is something really positive is that extra sensitivity. And my greatest desire is that there won't always need to be these false walls, but that there's something really great in how when you start to strip away some of the masculine shielding of women, they are very delicate inside. And that's something that actually can be really cultivated by her partner. So it's not something that she tucks away, but really can bloom into with you.
What are you seeing in that way, the way she's opening to you now versus maybe being closed down in the recent past?
On our scheduled dates or whatever we want to call them, she's opening up. It's great. It's amazing. It's really good. During the course, it was really good because she had that constant reminder of what to be doing. She had a network of people that were all involved in it at the same time. And they all helped each other out and spoke to each other. But since it's finished, it's kind of slowed down a little bit for her, which is understandable. But yeah, it's just a strange dynamic. What you said about understanding more about herself, and yeah, the whole thing was to like empower women. It's to give her self empowerment or whatever, and it's great. I love seeing that in her. But like I said, to rule out stuff forever. But then
Yeah.
the other half of me thinks, well, it's not real because it's just what she's thinking at the moment, and it's just the thought she's had, and it's all new to us still. It's going to be like a lifelong journey with this. But
Yeah, exactly. And if I may, the way you're talking about it, and I'm going to ask Cynthia about this. The way you're talking about it, it doesn't seem like there was a long-term vision of exploring your wife's underlying emotions around sexuality. It seems under the, yeah, it seems under the guise of, okay, she's going to feel empowered, and then this is supposed to be how it's going to be all the rest of your life, and she then has the responsibility of the leadership of sexuality for the rest of your life without flushing out the underlying emotions and love and connection. And is that what I'm
Yeah,
hearing?
I think so. I don't know the paths that the women do. There's
Oh, I
like a
see.
men's side of it, and we're not allowed to ask them about their paths that they do. So I don't know if we're
Oh,
allowed to now, but during the course, we weren't allowed to.
interesting. Okay. So I want to read something that you had written, and I'll share a bit of a screen and we'll bounce forward here. You mentioned that the program is focused around the woman taking the lead and the man not leading anything at all. When you asked her directly, she said, when you asked the coach directly about this, she said, it will come, as in intimacy and sexuality will come. But if we men change what we want to what she wants, then we both get what we want. As long
Yeah,
as you want what she wants, you both get what you want. That's fucking
yeah,
hilarious. Okay, so here's one key that I wanted to ask Cynthia about. The reason of all of this is, quote, because men have spent years making their wives feel unsafe and pressured, it's time to let the pendulum swing the other way so women can get to a place where they are empowered in their comfort and in their pleasure and in their safety. Okay. So, because we've made them feel unsafe and pressured, it's time to let them lead everything, Cynthia. Okay. It's time to let the pendulum swing and have and expect what I'm reading here and what I'm understanding, and have and expect the woman to lead everything so they can feel empowered, comfortable in their pleasure and in their safety. So, what's good, bad, or ugly about all of that, in your opinion, Cynthia?
Frankly, I find it supremely overwhelming because there's different levels here. I mean, we could run this through the colander or the sieve of level 1 of evolutionary biology, and we could say masculine and feminine energies are so different. And could masculine drive forward be perceived in by the feminine as very forceful? Yeah. And that's what attracts her to her man in the first place. And then go into the course of relationship where it's level 2 and it's kind of talk and we're equal, and then we stop paying attention to those deeper evolutionary drives. And I think women start judging the man in their life because he's not just like her, and it could happen vice versa. The judgment happens. Do I deeply subscribe to women claiming a level 3 kind of a sacred seductress, empowered, incredible being of their self, to feel so comfortable in their skin, to feel alight with their own sexuality and sensuality, and to be in a world where it's not, where she doesn't feel like her whole value is based on external or how hard she works, that she gets to go into a softer, more pleasure filled part of her body and share that in partnership. Yeah, like that's what I want for every woman. I think what happens though is sometimes certain comments or certain programs don't look at these 3 different levels of us as humans, only focuses on one. And then it we can't, I personally believe like a woman needs to be evolutionary, she needs to be the verbal level 2, and she needs to be the spiritual goddess. And if you say only one of them is where you feel power or empowered, that puts, to me, her in a box and really can be disruptive to her and to relationship synergy and magic and dynamics.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to unfold this a little bit more on this call. Let's get to a baseline. Let's get to a baseline here. So I did some research, of course, before this call, as I always do. And John Gottman, PhD, What Do Women Really Want? This is an excerpt from an article and a book. And here's the address down below at the bottom here if you want to search this, or just search Gottman, What Do Women Really Want? We reveal one thing in their research, in John Gottman's 50 years of research. We emphasize that every woman is different, but some general ideas are helpful. We reveal the one thing all women are looking for when they search for a man, and that quality is trustworthiness. So with your woman, she's talking about this as well, being able to trust you, feeling safe, feeling sensual in herself. Gottman says, our research shows that women's two major complaints about men are one, he's not there for me, and there's not enough emotional connection. Men's two major complaints are there's too much fighting and there's not enough sex. Our research has revealed that to address all four of these complaints, men need to know how to do just one thing that women desperately need. He needs to be able to attune to her negative emotions. Now, what we teach and what Cynthia's talking about within level 3 is, so level 1 is caveman, evolutionary psychology, evolutionary biology. Level 2 is roommate, how we build a life together and compromise and talk through things. But level 2 is not very sexual. It's not sexual. And level 3 is back to sacred sexuality, blooming love in the moment, being in the moment with one another. And Gottman is saying that men are not good at attuning to her negative emotions in the moment. So we often have a woman continue to beat us up because we don't know how to connect with her when she's feeling bad. We take it personally. We defend ourselves. We try to fix her bad mood instead of wading in the pool with her or understanding it with her or not judging her. So that's the baseline here that I think all women want. And would you find that to be true? That what Gottman is saying here is they want a man to attune to her negative emotions. What does that mean in your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of goes to saying we all have the level 1 humanness inside of us. And when she feels that you and all the incredible evolutionary force that you are also have deep awareness of her emotional experience, and that nothing about her emotional experience is bad or wrong, she then can take in the incredibleness of your masculine energy, your forcefulness as something, and a force that protects her and invites her forth, instead of something that maybe she can't always share with. Or if I just shut this door on this one emotion, then we won't get into arguments. Uh, and we don't want the feminine to shut doors on anything, because that's a cumulative has a cumulative effect.
Yeah, so let me bounce back to you. Let's circle back to judgment. We're circling back to her feeling judged, to you feeling judged. That's where we are right now as well. Talk with us about judgment. Do you speak with your wife openly about things that are painful for her, painful for you? Do the two of you have opportunity to go to those places with each other?
Yeah, generally, I mean, I feel that we communicate really well. We talk about everything. There's not really any secrets between us, and we're very open about everything like that. And with the course that we did, it's helped. It's helped with the language, because it's helped us relay what we're trying to say in a different way that is maybe a little bit more compassionate, I guess, in what we're trying to talk about.
Okay, fantastic. So let's take a step forward. If I'm you and I want my ideas and joy and laughter and vision to be heard as well. It's almost as though you passed the ball through that course. You passed the ball to her so she could lead and feel safe. And so you just basically practice non-judgment. You practice just, you know, shutting up
Yeah,
and breathing and being there for her physically. Well, what about
yeah.
passing the ball to you where you can express the kind of joy and vision you want for sex and intimacy? Yeah.
No,
Shaking your head like, no, that's not even a possibility.
no. No, on the course, someone said that one of the women once their time when they had their date together, they wanted to, by them leading, they said to the man, right, you can lead tonight, but that's still them giving that they're still them leading it by saying that. But there's, as far as I can tell, especially at the moment, there's no initiation, no want or anything like that allowed.
So, and what do you, I hear you, and you were shaking your head before too. What do you want? Where would you like this to progress between the two of you?
Well, I would like to get to the point where we both got a connection all the time. We can have a proper kiss, not just a peck on the lips as we're passing or whatever. Proper kiss, and it doesn't have to go anywhere. But if it goes somewhere, great. I want to be able to get into bed and give her a cuddle. And if it goes somewhere or doesn't go somewhere, great. We get into bed now, and I'm not allowed to give her a cuddle, not allowed to touch her. I just have to lay there and go to sleep.
What do you,
There's
yeah,
no.
and what do you think would happen if you said what you just told us to your wife? That I'd love to be able to cuddle. It doesn't have to lead anywhere. I'd love intimacy to be blooming between us all of the time, love and connection. What if you said those things to her?
I would get a reply along the lines of, "It doesn't matter what you want," or "Don't pressure me," or something along those lines.
And are you okay
Or
that what you want doesn't matter? Probably not, right?
no,
Okay. Okay. And so if you were to say,
no,
well, I'm not okay that it doesn't appear that my wants and my needs matter at all, I'm not okay with that.
then I probably get the answer of, "If you don't like it, you can go," but not a serious "you can go." It's just like an empty threat, "You can go." I don't know. I think it would lead down the conversation of it's pressure and it's making her feel unsafe and uncomfortable. And then even if she didn't say that, it would then just escalate into her shutting down and just giving me the cold shoulder and, arguing. It just lead to arguments.
That's what most likely, or that's the fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about a concept. And this is from, talking to myself and everyone here too. Relationship has inherent pressure within it. Being in a long-term monogamous relationship inherently has responsibilities, inherently has pressure. Having children, having a job inherently has pressure. Being a citizen in the world inherently has pressure. We can't just put ourselves into a bubble. I think all of us here know that, right? Now, when you talk with your wife, so I'm going to go over to Cynthia here because we have her on this call. We only have so much time today. Where is the common ground between you and your wife? In other words, what do you both believe about relationship together? Because there has to be emotional common ground for any kind of behavioral change to then therefore take place. So where is the common ground between you and your wife of what you believe about relationship?
What, when it comes to sex and intimacy,
Well, yes,
or
or
just
just
in general?
in general at all, but then sex and intimacy would be my next question. Yeah.
Probably just the house and the kids. That's the common ground for us. There's not a lot else really.
That's really painful, right? Yeah.
Since joining the men's groups, I've really been trying to sort of push myself to do more things on my own. I invite my wife to do them with me, and if she doesn't want to, I try and do them anyway. But life is just so busy. There's no time to do stuff for myself. It's looking at the diary at the end of November, like, right, I'm going to try and get a night out somewhere in December or something. It's just nothing, no space at all. So I'm just trying to plod through it until January, and then hopefully it'll be a bit clearer then, and then I can start doing the work a bit better.
Sure. And so you're just speaking about yourself now. And let me
Yeah,
actually show another screen here. And we won't have time to go into the details, but we teach this within our one-on-one coaching and our private membership groups. And you and I can talk more after this as well, another time.
yeah,
And certainly any man that wants to ask about this. So now you're talking about being attractive, having a life of your own friends, your own hobbies. Don't be unattractive, right? Don't be defensive when she accuses you, let's say, of something. Don't be unattractive in your physical self and your emotional self. You want to be attractive and you want to not be unattractive. These are all steps that we talk about on this call and in our coaching. And then second is to consider how much comfort is involved in our relationship and how much attraction is involved in our relationship. And Cynthia and I taught on this last week as well. So if you're watching this, you can go back in YouTube and watch our recording from last week of the C Note Show. So not to get into the weeds here, this is what you're talking about now is, okay, I want to stop being the unattractive nice guy. I want to stop the covert contracts. I want to stop relying on her for validation. I want to be attractive in my own life in these ways. And I want to make sure I am doing things to balance attraction in our life and not just overall comfort. So I don't want to be her friend or her roommate 100% of the time. I want her to be my lover and I want to be her lover as well, on top of being parents, on top of being
yeah.
roommates together. That's what you're talking about now. Well, what would be in your mind? So let's circle back, then we'll ask Cynthia. What would be in your mind a baseline step toward common ground as far as intimacy and sexuality between the two of you? With very, very simple. Like you both want to be considered. You want both of your desires to be considered, maybe.
Yeah, just I guess, just not having the fear of doing something wrong. Like, kissing in the bedroom is kind of off the table. At night, unless it's our date time, there's no kissing in the bedroom because it makes her feel pressured and the walls come up and unsafe and all the rest of it. And something like that would be great.
Well, sure. Let's go even simpler. So that's a behavior, that's an action. Let's go even
Okay.
simpler. How about emotionally? What's the emotional common ground that you would like to have of consideration for both of you in terms of intimacy? Or I'm just saying emotional understanding between one another.
Just that there's no pressure and we have fun.
There we go. Okay. Let's start there. So
Yeah.
if you went to her and you said, I would love for us to connect without pressure and in fun, is that something that's now let's assume that she starts to close down. This is where the rubber meets the road. Let's assume, Cynthia, that she starts to close down. He says, I'd like for both of us to be without pressure and in fun. And she starts to see that as something's her fault. Let's just assume he's trying to say she's not good enough, right? Okay. What can he consider that he hasn't maybe considered before in this spot?
Yeah, I would actually even be curious what does go through her mind in with that ask of, hey, I want this to be without pressure and fun. Where does her assumption go? Inviting her to speak of that assumption or even her judgment, because I would be curious to understand, is she making fun equate immediate sexuality, or is there a diving deeper into her feeling, her fear, her worry, her sadness, where the other side of that is fun is laughter, fun is giggling together, fun is a great joke to play on one another, and that it's not just the color red of sex, that it's has a rainbow of meaning, which is essentially what, to me, really high level sensuality and sexuality is about a rainbow of energies and experiences being pulled together.
Yeah. So I want you to have something actionable. What did you just hear Cynthia say?
Maybe just try and speak to her about how she feels, well, what she feels when I suggest doing something fun. And I like the analogy of the spectrum of colors of fun rather than just being red, straight red for sex. It's yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah. Good. What other question might you have from there? Because this needs to be very simple. Her feeling pressure, you saying, for instance, I want to be able to kiss you, maybe jumping from step one to step, 50 out of 100. And we want
Yeah,
it to be step 1, 2, 3. So when she begins to feel pressure, which is probably very quickly, you can excavate that with her. She can start to feel still safe to open that to you, but life is not without pressure. And I don't know your wife, and we don't have time to go more into it here, but I want you to know that life and relationship have pressure and responsibility. No matter what I can say, I don't want any responsibility in my life. I can say I don't want any pressure in my life, but that doesn't mean that's reality.
yeah.
So these small steps for you, what other question might you have at that moment?
Um, Maybe ask her what she would be happy to do on the scale of fun, sort of thing. I don't really know.
Well, let's start with, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, Cynthia nodded. So let's start with, what does fun mean to her?
Yeah.
And maybe even literally draw colors on a piece of paper. And if red is sex, then you leave that for last.
Yeah.
Right? And you draw all these other shades of fun, these colors of fun with the kids together. And then it goes into just holding hands, intimacy, watching a sunset together. Okay. And sex is a different color. And if she's able to talk about those things and explore with you. Now, if she says this is too much pressure and walks away, you try again another time.
Yeah.
The main tenant here, and you have support in the chat too. One of the main tenants here, and this is again for me and every other man, is we can never fully neuter ourselves and still be proud of the man that we are.
Mm.
We're not going to hand over our balls and still feel good about ourselves. And she doesn't want that either. So this is a journey of exploration for the two of you. And sure, the pendulum has swung. Seems as though your wife has led it into some things that she enjoys, but you also want to be a part of this relationship. You also want to be
Yeah.
considered. And really what we're talking about is excavating the feeling of pressure that your wife has. That's what we're talking about, one step
Yeah.
at a time,
Yeah.
without trying to attach it, without trying to, manipulate her towards sex, of course.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Yeah. Cynthia, what else might you add to that before we close out for today?
Yeah, I was imagining too that sometimes women get stuck so out of fun mode, and a little bit of rigidity is asking her right off, like, well, what do you think is fun, might bring about a freeze that she doesn't know. Kind of like
Yeah.
that question of what do you want? Like, and I've even had
Yeah.
that. I've asked women myself, well, what do you want? It's like, they freeze. And I would offer to not take their freeze as a, oh, I can't, then that door, we can't enter that door. There's just, what is the other fun way to invite this information from her? Because maybe she remembers having fun when she was 10 at a birthday party and they, went sliding. And she might need to start there at a more innocent time before she had self-judgment or rules. The gift of your masculinity is that you're not swayed by her freeze, because she gets to have more life than that, and that you use your presence in the moment and your breath in the moment and your kingly eye to find, like, well, okay, what are the other creative ways I can connect her to this. To me, in my own life, that's been the most healing energy I've ever experienced. And it's only something that you, in your masculine, can give, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, it's very well said. She doesn't want you to collapse. She wants you to be there for her regardless, right? All right, gentlemen, I'm
Yeah.
sure you have other questions. Greatmenmovemountains.com if you want to reach out to us. Appreciate you being here.
I'm so sorry for taking up all the time.
No, don't apologize. This is what we were here for. This was fantastic.
Perfect.
We will see you next week, same time. Appreciate you guys being here. Thanks, Cynthia.